Welcome to this Show Me on the parasympathetic and sympathetic supply to the eye. We're going to start off with the ophthalmic nerve, which is the first branch of the trigeminal nerve. This nerve comes along and it gives rise to three branches. It's going to have a frontal branch, an ethmoidal branch and a nasociliary branch. I've drawn these in orange because this represents sensory fibres. The frontal nerve is just sensory, and that will later branch into supraorbital and supratrochlear nerves. The lacrimal branch, whilst also sensory, contains parasympathetic fibres, which I'm going to draw in green, that have travelled their way from the facial nerve and hijacked up through V2 to then join the lacrimal nerve to supply the lacrimal gland. The nasociliary nerve continues as the long ciliary nerve, but it's going to contain both sensory and sympathetic nerves. These sympathetic nerves have wound their way up from the superior cervical ganglion round the internal carotid artery via the carotid plexus and then branch on up to join this nerve. Not all of the sympathetic fibres want to go through the nasociliary nerve and the long ciliary nerves. Some go into the ciliary ganglion. They're sympathetic, so they don't stop, they just pass through the ganglion and come out through short ciliary nerves. The oculomotor nerve, as well as carrying motor fibres, shown here in blue, the oculomotor nerve also carries parasympathetic fibres which travel along. They head up to join into the ciliary ganglion, where this time they do relay, and they then travel out of the short ciliary nerves. The end result of this is that we have parasympathetic nerves from the facial nerve supplying the lacrimal gland, which is responsible for tear production in the eye. We have sympathetics, which are responsible for the dilator pupae muscle, which goes round the eye like that, and that will dilate the pupil to let in more light. And then through the oculomotor nerve we have parasympathetic fibres relaying in the ciliary ganglion, heading through the short ciliary nerves to act as a constrictor to the pupil to reduce the amount of light going into the eye. Just to add in, some sensory fibres also like to travel down and go into the ganglion and will head out with the short ciliary nerves. And that's the parasympathetic and sympathetic supply to the eye done.